Yeah. Hello, welcome to Panda's Odyssey, the podcast. This is Panda, of course. If you've been following along my blogs, they will be continuing now in an audio podcast form. And if you're new, let me tell you about what exactly Panda's Odyssey is. I spent 2 years traveling and training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and other grappling arts around the world. In that time, I visited, I think, 37 countries and about 115 cities and about 165 gyms. In that time, I met countless amazing people and had all sorts of awesome adventures. I have written about a lot of my adventures while traveling, but it is becoming more and more of a problem being able to write regularly and produce blogs for everyone to read and follow along. I'm now stationary, working a full-time job, pretty much working 2 part-time jobs on top of that, preparing to go back to school for hotel management. There's a lot in the way to keeping my blogs going, so I've decided to switch now to this audio podcast. If you're listening to this through a platform that supports video, then you'll also see a slideshow of pictures from me around the world in my adventures that I will talk to you about, that I will tell you all about. If you're just listening to this as audio, you can always go over to my Flickr account. That's Panda's Odyssey, of course. And you'll see all the albums throughout all my adventures. I've finally finished editing all those pictures and uploading them. I still have lots of videos to go through, though, so those will come. I'm not too sure exactly where I'll go with this audio podcast. I want to recap a lot of my stories that I've told before, talk about more the broad strokes of my travels. I still have a lot of adventures to continue to tell you about. I think I only got about halfway through my travels, actually writing about them on my blog. There's, of course, the gym reviews. I don't know if I will keep those as written or add those in with this podcast. I want to talk more about my adventures, my experiences, meeting cool people and traveling more than actually each individual gym. And really, after I've been home now for over a year, a year and a half almost, it is now harder and harder to remember exactly every gym and every detail that I went through, even if I was to write it all down, which I did not have time to do while traveling. It would still be hard to recall every single aspect of every gym. So honestly, giving a in-depth review of each gym that I visited is a bit hard to do. So really, although I will talk about my stops and talk about the people I met and talk about training at different gyms, other than experiences that come up, memories that come up, you won't have a very in-depth gym review other than meeting and socializing with that gym and those people. That being said, I do have a lot to talk about with my adventures, with my experiences, going to different countries and cities, experiencing different cultures and meeting different people. I really hope that people find this interesting and continue to listen, and this continues to build. So this start with kind of a recap of what has been going on. If you look back, it's been about 3 months since I last posted an article, and even then, that was an article about dealing with my knee rather than an actual stop. So that's not exactly a real Panda's Odyssey article. Continuing talking about my travels. So even if you were to look, then it's been even longer since I've written about my last stop while traveling. So hopefully with this, I can be more regular on my posts about my adventures, and while also recapping about past stops while I reflect on the whole Odyssey in general. So let's start with a reflection of the of this past year since I've been home now. The Odyssey has stopped. I am no longer traveling. I'm no longer off visiting people or going to camps every month. I'm still training. I'm now back in my home gym, training with everyone at home, while always bringing up my old stories of traveling and going through all my data of my database of pictures and videos. It's kind of cool to really to sit back and think about what happened in those 2 years, to really think about where I've been and what I did and who I met. It feels like a completely another life, like I wasn't me, like it was a show I watched, a series, a long series, and now it's over. The biggest aspect I think that was difficult to get used to was the monotonous stationary life, getting a job, paying bills, all that stuff that everyone does. When you're traveling, you don't really think about that. I mean, you do spend money, you do have bills to pay, right? But it's not a monthly parking pass or an overpriced small apartment in a city. It's your plane ticket to your next adventure, right? So it's you see that money spent differently. You don't think about, well, just to live here, it costs me X amount of dollars. You think about, well, this adventure I can budget for X amount of dollars. And of course, there is also the constant fighting the urge to pack up and travel every week or day, or anytime I get on social media and see my other friends who are out there traveling right now. Every time a camp is posted, you go through your budget to see if you can make it, because you so badly want to go out there and meet up with your old friends and just not be here at your job again. Not that my job sucks. I love it. But, I mean, those who have traveled understand there's no better feeling of that freedom of just your life is on your back and you're able to go anywhere. I have to say though, I really do hate the city life. I think now that I'm back, I'm home, and I've experienced everything I've experienced, living in a city is just not what it used to be to me. I realize how much just doesn't matter. But the more you live in a city, it gets to you, and then you start to care about all those little things that really don't matter, like when a car cuts you off, when people bump into you, when people are loud in public, all these small little things that didn't bother you before because you're enjoying being in a new place. well, this isn't a new place to me, so it bugs me. It's maybe I'm just getting old, and I'm just want everyone off my lawn. I don't know, but yeah, it's all these little things of being in a city and actually being part of that buzz, as opposed to just being a visitor, that starts to get to you. Of course, I could also be just looking for reasons to want to leave and continue to travel, right? Just, subconsciously, I'm looking for reasons I have to get out and get back to traveling again, right? What I do love about being back in the city, though, is being back in my home gym and seeing all my old friends, seeing how they have all progressed, seeing how I have progressed myself, because you really can't tell until you roll with someone you used to roll with, I guess. They used to say that when you're starting out, you don't really feel like you're progressing until the next new guy shows up, and you realize that now you have skills to deal with someone like that, and then you build up from there, right? Because when you're rolling and training and drilling with your buddies at your gym, you're building each other up. So you're usually in a bit of a stalemate. One might get an edge this week or this month or just this day, and then you'll come back the next day or week or month and be able to shut them down and get the edge. And it's a lot of back and forth, but you're both progressing. So it's not really until there's a long time away, like if another student takes off and goes traveling around the world for 2 years and then comes back, and then you get to roll with them and see how you two compare, right? So that was the big thing for me, was coming home and seeing how my game has progressed in these 2 years. Well, they stayed here just working on their game and getting it more precise and adding to it more complete. While I have been solely working on surviving, like picking up details and techniques and adding to my knowledge as I go. But really, the big thing was just surviving, right? Building that awareness to survive, and that awareness to see how you can defend against different people and build your game up from that aspect. So really, being home, rolling, training with my old partners, and comparing those two past, 2-year long training camps, really, it was really cool to see. Now it's really cool to see other people who were just starting when you left, who now have a much more involved game. See how they have progressed, and really, at the end of the day, your home gym should feel like a family, and mine really does feel like a family. So when I get back to it, it's like seeing old family members. So I'm really happy to be back in my gym and training with everyone, and that was really the big thing I was looking forward to when I came back to Victoria, BC, Canada, was being back in the old gym. The rest of the city, though, can go to hell. I can't stand the traffic, can't stand the transit system, I can't stand the price of rent and the cost of living out here. It's just stupid. That's why I have a full-time job and a part-time job and another part-time job. But then we can talk about that another time off the podcast, when I can really tell you how I feel in depth about certain people, certain things. So yeah, a year in reflection, being back in my hometown, or rather my new hometown, not the one I grew up in, but the one I left anyways, and trying to fit back in you realize, it's been a year of trying to to fit back into the puzzle, and you just don't. It's just not the same. Just not the. You can't just go back to where you were and go back to who you were, because the travel changes you, right? Mentally, physically, you know, spiritually. I think that's a big thing. Spiritually, when you see different cultures and you see different ways of life, and you realize what's really not important, right? Having the newest accessories and electronics and whatever is just not important. Carrying, the bus being late really isn't important. Although when you're looking to grab it every day, it does really bug you. You're just not the same person, and you just can't fit right back into where you were. And it's taken me a long time to realize that. I spent months saying, "Oh, I'll get over the urge to go traveling again once I just keep busy and get back into working a constant job and into a routine again." And it does not go away, especially when now you've seen what's out there. There is a app that was floating around on Facebook that you could tag all the countries and cities that you've been to, and I think I was at about 18% or so, just under 20% anyways. And it doesn't sound like much of the world, but when you realize that the one city you grew up in is not even 1%, then you realize 18% of the world is a lot. And I have friends that have seen more than that, but obviously a lot more friends that have seen less than that. And you realize, well, that leaves another 82% to go and see. So this Odyssey is not over. I must plan and pack and travel again. It's really hard to keep that urge under wraps. But that's part of getting back into the stationary life of having a job and paying bills, is dealing with that. I've been working on now planning vacations, planning trips. I now understand the necessity of having annual or biannual vacations. Before, when I worked in Toronto for 10 years, I was an artist and never really made money or had a job that would pay you, vacation days, give you paid vacation days, I should say. And so I never understood the necessity to have a vacation, because to me, every day, every week, every month was about working so I could pay the bills, and solely that, working to pay the bills, and hopefully my art will catch on, my clothing, the bar I'm working at, whichever entrepreneurship idea I was on at that time, clothing store, fashion lines, bars, whichever I was working in. So that's all it was about, was just hoping you can make it in that scene and pay the bills at the same time. Now I can understand, like, yeah, I spent 2 years away from the city life, away from not just the city life, it's the first world culture life. When you realize outside of that first world privilege that we have of caring about the newest shoes and newest electronics and the newest vehicles and designer clothes, and you realize that there is so much more to the world that actually does matter, now you want to go out and see it rather than spend all your money on material things. Now, don't get me wrong, I still spend a lot of money on material things. Having the coolest rash guards and gis that I get to show off at class, that's still a thing. Don't stop that. Spend your money on traveling and gis, obviously. So I think we'll stop here. This is just a first kind of pilot episode to see how this goes. To tell you what's going on. Again, I'm now going to be reflecting about the Odyssey, as well as continuing talking about all my stops I made and adventures I had. Once I get my videos out, I'll post those, tell you where you can find those. And if you want to follow me along on social media at Panda's Odyssey, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, or you can go to pandasodyssey.com. My site with my blog is still functioning. I'll still have that up. All the links to my Flickr account, to Instagram, to Twitter, to YouTube, it's all on there, so you can watch videos and see my photo albums, read my past blog posts. I still have my map up on that site, which has, I believe it's up to date now, of all the gyms that I went to around the world. The contact information for those gyms might not be current. As we all know, gyms open and close and move around a lot. So if you are looking to travel and you want some help, you can always send me a line on any of the social media outlets. Find me on Facebook. Of course, always go to the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Globetrotters Facebook page and use the vast network that they have. It's an amazing tool that Christian has set up. I love that whole network, that whole family. I miss them all very much. And yeah, we'll talk about that another time. Come back, listen to more podcasts from me, Panda, and follow me along on social media. All right, bye until next time.